Hello class, welcome back. This whiteboard session is possibly my favorite. It is all about lactate threshold. Back when I learned about lactate, it was just, oh, lactate threshold, you hit it, you move on. Now there's so much more data that we know, and there's a lot of different books and textbooks that review different things. Lactate threshold 1, LT1, LT2, VT1, VT2, ventilatory threshold, respiratory compensation point, onset of blood lactate accumulation. Even people talk about the nitty gritty of LT 1.0 versus LT 2.0 versus LT 2.5. So there's a lot going on, and sometimes the picture can get a little muddy with all these different terms. So wanted to lay it all out with this whiteboard session. Really love the whiteboards. It allows you to draw it and learn it, so you can incorporate all those aspects of learning: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learning. So get at it. Hope you enjoy it.
In this first graph here, you can see that if you are in an untrained state, as you start exercising more and more along your VO2 max, you get to a point where suddenly lactate starts to rise above its baseline concentration. But as you undergo training and you improve, you can continue to maintain exercise to a higher percentage of your VO2 max before your lactate level rises. Now, the interesting thing about lactate thresholds is if you look at it a little more closely, you can see there's actually two thresholds. As you continue to exercise, and in this graph it's represented by a power output such as on a bike, you do get a deflection right here, and that is a break from this straight line there, and that is a first lactate threshold. But then you get a second break there where that angle is again different. So we actually have a lactate threshold 1 and a lactate threshold 2. And what is going on there is it actually correlates very nicely to ventilatory thresholds. So during exercise, with pulmonary ventilation during more light and moderate exercise at about this level here, before you hit the thresholds, pulmonary ventilation closely correlates or couples with metabolism and increases proportional to the VO2 consumption and the CO2 production. So in general, as your oxygen consumption goes up, your ventilation goes up similarly and in proportion, so you have a nice linear rise here. And the ventilatory equivalent is actually a ratio of your ventilation divided by your O2 consumption. Now, when you get to a certain breaking point, your ventilation here is going to increase upward disproportionately in relation to your O2 consumption. And this is from stimulating effects of CO2 release from buffering of the accumulating lactic acid. And there's 2 points here. There's your first point here and your second point. And this is very nice because it provides a bloodless way to estimate your lactate threshold and your onset of lactate, blood lactate accumulation. Now, there's a lot of terms here. Some people talk about an initial aerobic threshold, however, before you start getting into these anaerobic or ventilatory or lactate thresholds. So we want to review these in order. So the first thing that happens in your, so to speak, aerobic threshold, which is not talked about that much, there's just an initial ventilatory drive for oxygen. You know, you're just starting to exercise. Your body starts moving, tells you it needs a little bit more O2. There's a little bit of light breathing here going on. But it's a feeling that you can maintain in terms of effort-wise for, gosh, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It's about 50% of your aerobic capacity or VO2 max. So some people talk about this area here as opposed to rest prior to exercise. In here as being your aerobic threshold in this region. Now let's move into that first anaerobic threshold here. There's a lot of terms, like I said. Some people call this first one the anaerobic threshold or the ventilatory threshold 1 or VT1 right here. Some people also call it the lactate threshold 1 as opposed to lactate threshold 2. But some people even more specifically call this the lactate threshold 1.0 because it's the point at which you rise just above a baseline blood lactate at 1. Some people get even more specific and say this should actually represent when it goes above 1 to about 2. So some people call this the lactate threshold 2.0, and some other people even refer this as 2.5 because they feel that's specifically the area that it has to rise to before you're truly considered in threshold. So, what is characterized by your anaerobic threshold or your ventilatory threshold 1 or your VT1? The increased ventilatory drive in this stage is to get rid of CO2. We are trying to maintain balance in this equation here, and we are still in the isocapnic phase, which means we are still able to maintain baseline CO2 levels. Now, there's a great website out there called goldencheetah.org, and they have an awesome science section that explains this very nicely. And this graph is from there. And as you can see here, as you start exercising and just start to get aerobic, so to speak, in this phase here, here is where you reach this first ventilatory threshold 1 or lactate threshold 1. They use that more easy term, LT1, instead of 2.0 or 2.5. And the interesting thing about this phase, when you hit this spot, is this feels like the so-called tempo pace of running. And your performance at this threshold, at your VT1, is an excellent predictor of performance in an endurance and 2+ hour race like your marathon, cycling races, or triathlon. Your VT1 is dependent on the number of mitochondria. And you can raise this threshold, which is awesome. Now we move into this phase here, which is not quite so happy as represented in green before as your LT1 now. We're getting in between the VT1 and the VT2, which we're putting in red. And this is, in general, what people approximate to the maximal lactate steady state, which is yet another term that some people use for the two different thresholds. But in general, this is kind of that gray area in between LT1 and LT2. And this is where your body reaches the tipping point where clearance and accumulation is basically at the maximum we can sustain. This is your so-called time trial pace as opposed to tempo pace in cycling, or this is your indeed race pace in running if you're a runner and you kind of know these levels. This threshold level is dependent on the buffering system of HCO3. And with training, you can increase this to a certain extent. However, some people go the dangerous route and try bicarbonate loading, where they start ingesting bicarb. That is dangerous. You're altering your blood pH. This is not recommended at all. And now we get to that final phase. So we've gone past the initial threshold, right? We've gone past this kind of gray zone in between threshold, and now we're getting into the painful part of exercise. We have now hit this area here, and this is your lactate 2 or ventilatory threshold 2. Some people also call this the respiratory compensation point. That was in the previous slide there. Unfortunately, there's more terms. Here's that respiratory compensation point. Some people say this should be called lactate 4.0 right here, or the onset of blood lactate accumulation, as opposed to somewhere, oh, that's not the right color, here, where we're in our maximal lactate steady state, where it's bumped. It certainly hit a bump above that threshold, but it's about the maximum that you can sustain, and it's a brief time period that things are starting to pick up, but not looking good because we're going in this direction, and your body's trying to tell you, I'm going to go back here because that's more comfortable. But if you keep pushing and saying, no, I want to keep going this way, we get to this point of no return here. So here we go. So our ventilatory threshold 2 or lactate threshold 2, or unfortunately, which some people say is lactate 4.0, or onset of blood lactate accumulation, this is your maximal sustainable power. All right, this is it. Beyond VT2, the increased ventilatory drive is chemoreceptor driven from a rise in blood H. There is just too much CO2. You cannot maintain this balance. You're no longer isocapnic, and H starts going up. Performance right at this threshold is a good predictor of performance in shorter events. This is not something that you can sustain like the previous. And this is also not your maximal lactate steady state here, which is your time trial pace or your race pace. If you're running your 10K, for example. Excuse me, not 10K, a little longer than a 10K. More likely maybe 15 or 20K. Once, which by the way, I am not able to do in 1 hour. I'm more like 90 minutes when I do this. So this is hard. You have to clearly be trained to be able to perform and stay at this level without going this way, which is the last area here. So yeah, well-trained athletes can maintain power for about this time, 45 minutes to about 65. This is definitely not a good predictor of performance in a marathon. This is definitely shorter distance here. So once you go beyond the point of no return, once you're past VT2, and it's just steadily going up and up and up, this is unsustainable exercise. This is strong burning sensation in your legs. This is, if I keep going, I'm absolutely going to crash and burn. So the neat thing about this is we can train our VO2 max and our lactate thresholds. In general, about 20 to 30% is what is discussed as what an average person can increase their VO2 max. There are some low responders that only get a minor change, maybe about 5%, and there are some interesting high responders that can go up about 50%, but most of the population can get in this range. More importantly, though, this does not correlate to race performance because we are not performing at VO2 max 9 times out of 10, only in very short duration, incredibly exhausting races like the 800 meters or the 1 mile, in some extremely well-trained people, the 2 mile. Are you actually truly performing at your VO2 max, pretty much all out exercise until you absolutely collapse? Most people are performing under 100%. They are not at full gas. And that's what your lactate threshold is a good measure of in terms of your performance at the 2 lactate thresholds. So, lactate threshold you can increase by about 60 to 70%. That's very good. And more specifically, your lactate threshold 1, you can go up from a baseline of maybe about 60% there. Some people say about 50 to 60 is where most people's untrained lactate thresholds start to hit. And you can train that up to about 80%, right, which is your tempo pace. So that's great. And then your lactate threshold 2, which is normally a little bit higher in the untrained state, you're closer to your VO2 max at 70. You can get that, if you work hard, to 90%. So you can actually exercise at 90% of your true VO2 max, which is incredible. And this is your 10K or your running race or your 40K time trial in cycling. So there are a lot of numbers there, a lot of graphs, but now we finally have a grip on the 2 different lactate thresholds and the phases in between.